Two vertebrae. That's all Michelle Pinot had left of her daughter. Two small pieces of bone handed to her in September 2014, 11 years after they were found. They had spent years sitting, forgotten, in a storage locker while a mother waited for justice that would never come. This is the story of Stephanie Lane, a 20-year-old young woman from Vancouver's downtown east side, a new mother to a 9-month-old son, and the youngest victim of Canada's most prolific serial killer. It's January 1997. The city is cold, the streets slick with winter rain. Stephanie Lane is struggling, juggling motherhood and survival on some of Vancouver's most dangerous streets. Her mother, Michelle, is trying a new approach, some tough love, setting boundaries, hoping her daughter will find her own way home. But Stephanie never comes home. Days turn to weeks, weeks into months. Michelle reports her missing, but in the late 90s, when women disappear from the downtown east side, the response is often minimal. And so for 6 years, Michelle lives in a kind of purgatory, not knowing, hoping, praying her daughter is alive somewhere. Maybe in another city, maybe just gone. Then in 2003, the phone rings. It's victim services, and they need to speak with her. After 6 years of silence, they found something. Her daughter's DNA had been discovered on a pig farm in Port Coquitlam, a property owned by a man named Robert Pickton. The RCMP had been excavating the site and they found the remains of dozens of women, DNA of 33 in total, and Stephanie was one of them. Michelle's world shatters. This was the confirmation she dreaded. Her daughter was dead, murdered, her body processed like livestock on that nightmare farm. But there's more. The investigators tell her they found Stephanie's DNA on the lining of a freezer. Just DNA though. Not enough, they say, to charge Pickton with her murder. Not enough evidence. Michelle tries to accept this. She changes her phone number, stops reading the newspapers, relies, as she later admits, heavily on the bottle to get through. She watches from a distance as Pickton goes to trial in 2007, charged with 26 murders but tried for only 6. She managed to sit in the courtroom for 1 week, but it's just too much. Too horrific. Pickton is convicted of 6 counts of second-degree murder, sentenced to life in prison. But Stephanie's name is not among the 6. The remaining 20 charges, including hers, are stayed. The Crown reasons that with a life sentence already handed down, there's no point in pursuing more trials. Michelle is told this is closure, that justice has been served, but it doesn't feel like justice. It feels like her daughter has been forgotten. Again. And then, 11 years later, in August 2014, the phone rings once more. It's the BC Coroner's Service. They need to talk to her. Michelle waits, hours, days, weeks. The anxiety is unbearable. What could they possibly need to tell her now? What they have for her changes everything. They found bone fragments, 2 pieces of vertebrae belonging to Stephanie. They'd been sitting in RCMP storage from 2003 to 2010, then transferred to the coroner's office where they remained, forgotten. For years, in a storage facility. No explanation, just an apology. An oversight, they call it. But Michelle knows what this means. This isn't just DNA on a freezer. These are physical remains. They're bone. The kind of evidence that, in any other case, would be more than enough to charge someone with murder. She remembers what the prosecutors told her years ago. If there had been more than DNA, it would have been enough. So in January 2015, 18 years after Stephanie disappeared, Michelle stands in front of reporters holding 2 small plastic bags. Inside are fragments of her daughter's vertebrae. She calls for new charges, and she demands justice. The response from the criminal justice branch is swift and final. No. Robert Pickton has already received the maximum sentence available in Canada. There will be no additional prosecutions. The bone fragments, they insist, were always known to investigators. They're not new evidence. But they were new to Michelle. And that's the part that haunts her. For over a decade now, someone knew these bones existed. Someone had them in storage, and no one thought to tell a grieving mother. No one thought she deserved to know or to bury her daughter's remains and to have closure. This wasn't the only case of mishandled remains. The family of Cara Ellis was told that all that remained of their loved one was a strange green substance in an urn. After 3 years of pushing, they were finally given a box of overlooked bone fragments. The family of Marnie Frey, one of the 6 women Pickton was convicted of killing, received their daughter's remains in an urn. Later, they discovered the coroner had crushed her bones with a hammer to make them fit inside. Indignity upon indignity. Disrespect piled on top of tragedy. Michelle still speaks about her daughter. She describes Stephanie as gifted, talented in art and dance. Her laughter, Michelle says, was contagious. She had a 9-month-old son when she disappeared, a baby who grew up without his mother, a boy who is now a man, shaped by absence and loss. In February 2024, Michelle joined other families at a vigil held at the site of Pickton's farm. They were there to honor their loved ones, but also to protest. Robert Pickton had become eligible to apply for parole. The idea that the man who murdered their daughters, sisters, cousins might walk free, even if only during the day, was just too unbearable. Michelle stood there, surrounded by flowers and red dresses hung on fences, and spoke about the injustice of it all. She spoke about how her daughter's case was mishandled from the beginning. "I think about my daughter every single day," she said, "but I don't want to think about Robert Pickton anymore. It's thrown in your face all the time. It's like he's part of my life. I've been living in hell." Pickton never faced trial for Stephanie's murder. He never answered for what he did to her. And in May 2024, Robert Pickton died in prison after being assaulted by another inmate. There will be no more trials, no parole hearings, and no chance for Michelle to see him charged with her daughter's death. 2 vertebrae. That's all that Michelle has. She keeps them in small vials, a tangible piece of the daughter she lost, a reminder of a system that failed Stephanie in life and failed her in death, a reminder that some lives are treated as disposable, that some mothers have to fight for over 2 decades just to get back pieces of their children, just to be heard. Stephanie Lane was 20 years old. She was a mother, a daughter, a young woman with talent and laughter, and a future that was stolen from her. And even in death, she was forgotten. But Michelle won't let her be forgotten. Not now, not ever. Because even though 2 vertebrae are all that's left, they're enough to keep fighting. Enough to demand that Stephanie's name be remembered. Enough to remind us that behind every cold case, every dismissed disappearance, every unclaimed body, there is a mother waiting for a phone call that could finally give them answers. Or at least some closure.